Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this week's Money Made Fun video. And I, I was thinking about what's helped make money more fun in my world. And one of the biggest shifts that I had around money came about as a result of some research that my friend Paul McKenna and I did when we were putting together his book, I Can Make You Rich. And we met with 10 of the 50 wealthiest people alive at the time. But we also met with a lot of just mildly rich people. And one of the most interesting conversations to me was with a film director who was explaining how his school experience was. And it was so different from Paul and my school experiences that it really struck me. And so I don't know about you, but when we went to school and we're learning math, if there was a question, it was like, Billy buys an apple for 10 cents and uh, sells it to uh, Paul for 15 cents. And then Paul sells it to Gina for 30 cents, and then you worked out what percentage profit each of them made. Now, this guy went to a public school in England, and public schools in England are like private schools in America. They tend to be quite exclusive. And and he said when he was learning math, the math problems would be, Billy's father owns a small manufacturing company. They buy this for 7 million pounds and then sell it for 15 million pounds. And then it's sold on for 30 million pounds. Calculate the profit. And what it made us realize was we had a completely different sense of what normal was around money than he did, and that had been cultivated in overt and covert, in blatant and just implicit ways throughout our lives, and it had formed a sort of a comfort zone around money. In other words, there's a certain amount of money that I was comfortable with. I was comfortable, and it worked a lot like a thermostat. And in fact, in the book, we wound up calling this whole idea the wealth thermostat. That there was a certain amount of money where if more money than that was being talked about, I would switch off. And if more money than that was on offer, I would freak out. And then there was a certain amount that if less than that was talked about, I would switch off. And if less than that was on offer, I wouldn't particularly be interested. And what is so interesting to me now that I didn't see then is that whole notion of a wealth thermostat, of a comfort zone around money, is 100% made of thought. In other words, there's no such thing as a comfortable amount of money. There's an amount of money that you're thinking is comfortable with, and there's an amount of money that you have uncomfortable thinking about or in relation to. And it is 100% made up, which means it has no real permanence. But as long as it does, everybody operates comfortably within their comfort zone, within the range of numbers that your wealth thermostat is comfortable moving between. And for a lot of people I know, that number is from this much in debt to zero. And their positive figures are weird, right? For some people, it's from zero to $50,000, right? Anywhere in there, I'm okay. For some people, it's way, way higher. For some people, the numbers that are in their comfort zone were unfathomable to me when we were talking about it. There was one guy who I remember I asked him, I wanted to buy a gift for Nina. And he said, over 1 million or under. And I got he wasn't being a jerk. That was just his comfort level. That was just his wealth thermostat. And so I asked his chauffeur where to go, and I got Nina some lovely earrings for about $50 that she really liked. Um, for you, your homework this week is to start paying attention to your wealth thermostat. Now, remember, it's not a real thing, that's a metaphor. But you're thinking, notice just over the course of the week what looks like, well, that's ridiculous. That's super expensive. Ugh. And what's sort of like, well, that's nothing. Why would you even think about that? Like, where are the edges of your comfort zone? And one way that I've played with it in the past is, what's the amount of money that if you lost it, you wouldn't really think too much about it? And at what point do you start going, oh my God, I've lost this? Like I remember as a student, and when I first moved to London, I lost 200 pounds, and it nearly killed me with worry and fear and shame and horror. That number has changed for me over the years. I remember, actually, funnily enough, um, one of the ways that I really bumped into my thermostat is I used to go to lunch with a client, and we'd done it enough times that we would split the bill, and it, and I thought the bill was pretty expensive. It was certainly a lot more for me. Lunch, anything up to about $20 was lunch, and these lunches, my share of these lunches would regularly be $75 or higher. They were good lunches, but it was way out of my comfort zone. And he would get the bill and he would go, "Is that all?" And I thought he was so arrogant, and I thought he was putting on a an act, and I thought he was showing off, and I didn't like it at all. And then one day, after I started playing with this, now remember, I didn't try to change my number. I just started noticing, oh, I've got this made up comfort zone around money. And once I started to see it, it didn't make sense to keep making it up that way. And it kind of just started moving all by itself. And I remember the first time I got the bill for lunch, it wasn't with him, it was another place. And I remember looking at it and going, is that all? Now, I had the sense not to say it out loud, but I also went, oh my gosh, my thinking around this has genuinely changed. Now, I didn't try to change it, I didn't make it change. It changed all by itself when it stopped looking fixed and solid and connected to anything in the world and started to look like exactly what it was, thought. So play with that this week. See what you see, notice what you notice. Please do share anything that you notice about your wealth thermostat, your comfort levels around money, and how they've shifted over time and how they may continue to shift. Have fun, learn heaps, and I will talk with you soon.